Tā nu šķiet, ka visi ir ieradušies, varam sākt. Labrīt vēlreiz, dāmas un kungi. Esiet sveicināti Eiropas transporta drošības padomes un Latvijas Republikas Satiksmes ministrijas organizētajā seminārā par ātrumu un mazaizsargāto satiksmes dalībnieku drošību, par divām, lielā mērā pretrunīgām tēmām. So, good morning everyone. Welcome to PIN Talk about speed and safety of vulnerable road users. And today we will speak Latvian or English, and we have an interpretation service, so don't hesitate to use headsets. There are at the entrance in this hall. You will understand Latvian. You will not learn it today, so we have interpreters here. Tātad mums ir tulki, mums ir pieejams tulkojums tām prezentācijām, kuras būs angļu valodā, būs runātāji angliski, būs runātāji latviski. Un pasākuma pirmajā daļā noskaidrosim vairāk par pašas PIN programmas pieredzi, kura darbojas jau gandrīz 20 gadus. Šis satiksmes drošības indeks tiek apkopots visā Eiropas Savienībā un vēl vairākās valstīs. Tad būs skatījums uz mūsu pašu pieredzi šeit Latvijā attiecībā uz satiksmes drošību. Un pasākuma otrajā daļā savukārt mūsu viesi dalīsies ar savu pieredzi, ar savu valstu, ar Eiropas kopējo pieredzi vairākās satiksmes drošības jomās, gan par 30 km/h ātruma ierobežojumu, gan par ātruma samazinājumu uz lauku ceļiem un citiem tematiem, arī par velo infrastruktūras attīstību. Bet pirms mēs sākam šīs dienas prezentācijas un noslēgumā arī diskusiju, aicinu šeit priekšā Latvijas Republikas Satiksmes ministru Kasparu Briškenu.
Labrīt visiem dalībniekiem, paldies arī moderātoru kungam. Es savus ievadu vārdus pateikšu angliski, bet gribēju nodot sveicienus arī visiem, kas šodien piedalās. Patiešām ļoti nozīmīgs pasākums un turpinot angliski. A very warm welcome to all the participants today on behalf of the Ministry of Transport, one of the organizers alongside the European Transport Safety Council of this very important event. And I also commend the presence and very active involvement of everyone who is part of the Latvian Traffic Safety Council, which is a platform where we bring together both the governmental institutions, non-governmental institutions, research institutions in bringing forward fact and evidence-based policy proposals. And such proposals are indeed very, very needed because Latvia is not in an enviable position currently statistics-wise. Unfortunately, we are still in the bottom 5 in terms of fatalities on Latvian roads. 76 fatalities last year per 1 million inhabitants, which is almost twice the EU average and almost 4 times the Swedish average, who is the undisputed European leader alongside Norway. Speed is always a very critical item, which is very high also on our agenda. We see in our studies that only 26% of the Latvian drivers observe speeding limits in a non-radar zone. And these are supported by millions of data points collected by our research institutes. If there is a speed camera present, this number rises to 94%. So this impact of a speed camera is absolutely obvious. And of course, we know, according to World Health Organization and many other research inputs, that speed is a direct contributing factor to especially the severity of various traffic incidents, including those with fatalities and serious injuries. And of course, we understand that also when we speak about the more vulnerable participants of our daily traffic, going 30 kilometers per hour and having an accident involving a pedestrian has one consequence, is going 50 plus is a completely different picture. The rise of risks go up exponentially. So of course, one of our policy priorities is strengthening enforcement. We cannot put a police car on every road, but at the same time, zero tolerance for speeding, both on the high speeding range, but also starting from the very first kilometer of exceeding the speed limits. Latvia is one of the rare European countries that doesn't monetarily fine exceeding 1 kilometer plus, including the errors for the speed cameras. And as we are now tripling or even quadrupling the amount of speed cameras in Latvia, especially the average speed cameras, of course we want to make sure that these cameras can work efficiently and also send small initial fines to the tune of €10, but also for the exceeding of the first kilometer, because that has a direct impact on the average speed in Latvia, which over the years has declined, but still is a significant factor in the frequency and severity of the various crashes. The other part is, of course, infrastructure. Latvia has a significant deficit in its road traffic infrastructure, catering to the safety of all the participants. A forgiving infrastructure that forgives, if you will, drivers' mistakes, but also a forgiving infrastructure that protects those who are most vulnerable. And here we speak about segregated lanes for cyclists, for pedestrians. We think about roundabout solutions instead of 90-degree turns. We speak about the elimination of various dangerous left turns. And many of these are very unpopular decisions. And also, of course, very investment-heavy decisions. We're also thinking about application-based reaction tests for users of hired rental vehicles in order to avoid driving under intoxication. We also have pretty strict rules about car confiscation for the serious violations of road traffic safety. Repeated drunk drivers have their cars confiscated, and we send those cars to Ukraine. This is something that sends a clear signal in our society that we will not tolerate this kind of behavior in our society. And here we go into the cultural aspect of road traffic safety. I had the privilege of living in Sweden for quite a few years, the leading country in Europe in terms of traffic safety. And I think the foundation is not the world-class forgiving infrastructure or the policy of progressive fines, which I fully support, but that's not the panacea. I think the essence is the collective responsibility culture that we have in the Nordic countries. And we are so close to the Nordic countries, but yet at the same time, we have 4 times more fatalities than our neighbors across the Baltic Sea. So this is just one of the examples which we are benchmarking. We want to learn from the best. Here I also note our extensive cooperation with the International Transport Forum under the umbrella of OECD, also our cooperation with the European Transport Safety Council. These are critical international partners for us in our pursuit and in our political priority to finally have positive trends in moving in terms of the Vision Zero philosophy, learning from the best. And with your participation, including in our international community, we are here to learn. I wish you the best of success today in these very interesting discussions, and I'll be looking forward to very practical suggestions that you all contribute to so that we can make them as policy. Thank you very much, and once again, welcome to Riga.
Paldies Briškena kungam. Vēl šķiet jāpiebilst, ka daudzas no tām lietām, daudz no tiem risinājumiem, par kuriem Briškena kungs runāja, tieši šobrīd Saeimā tiek izskatīti, un pie tiem tieši šobrīd Latvijas Republikas parlaments strādā. Bet tagad vārds ceļu satiksmes drošības direkcijas valdes priekšsēdētājam Aivaram Aksēnokam.
Labrīt! Esiet sveicināti Rīgas Motormuzejā šajā satiksmes drošībai tiešām tik ļoti nozīmīgajā pasākumā. Ne tik raiti kā ministrs kungs, bet arī es pamēģināšu varbūt angliski uzrunāt. Dear friends, good morning. Welcome to Riga Motormuseum. I think this was a really great idea to organize this event in these premises, not only because of so nice historical vehicles exhibited in this museum, not only because Motor Museum is part of Road Traffic Safety Directorate, but museum do a great job to educate people in road traffic safety, especially young people and children. I would like to say some words and tell some information what is Road Traffic Safety Directorate. We have a lot of functions, but I would like to stress the main of them. We do periodical technical inspections. We register vehicles, and we take exams for new drivers, issue driver's license. And some of these functions are very close connected with vulnerable users of road traffic as well. For example, we organized a system in Latvia how children at school can study and get bicycle driver's license. It's very popular. More than 200 schools are involved in this system now. This summer we had one new challenge in registration function because we started to register electric scooters in Latvia. It was terrible work with a lot of problems, and if somebody is interested how this is going on, I am ready to explain this later. But besides that, we have good cooperation and common work with Ministry of Transport and local governments as well. And one of directions of this cooperation is research work. We, as a Road Traffic Safety Directorate, joined some EU projects like Baseline, Trendline, and ESRA project, survey project, to get to know behavior of drivers, from different aspects of behavior. And Minister has already mentioned this speed aspect. And these researches show, and some data was from these researches what was mentioned. So this is really very significant problem. And one more problem is vulnerable users. Researchers showed significant problems with bicycle drivers using helmets and other behavior. Very important thing in providing road safety is infrastructure. And in this direction, we have a road safety audit in our institution. And we work very closely with local governments to improve situation on our streets. So we have a lot of work concerning today's agenda, and I expect that there will be really good speeches and discussions about this. And I wish good luck to this conference. Thank you.
Un tagad plašāks ieskats tajā situācijā, kāda mums Latvijā ir ar ceļu satiksmes drošību. Aicinu Satiksmes ministrijas pārstāvi Jānu Kalniņu priekšā. Sagaidām ar aplausiem.
Labdien, sveiki. I'll try to speak in English, so yeah. It's a pleasure to be here and represent the Ministry of Transport. I'm from the Public Transport Services Department, but don't be confused with the name because we're also dealing with items related to road traffic safety. First of all, I'd like to start with a few facts regarding, our area in Latvia is 64,000 square kilometers, and in Latvia we're about less than 2 million citizens. It's 1.8 million, and roads and streets network is 71,000 kilometers, where road density is 1.1 kilometer per square kilometer. And we have less than 1 million driving licenses in Latvia. And regarding the car fleet, our car fleet is less than 1 million. It's 943 roadworthy cars with insurance, and from those we have 723 passenger cars and less than 100,000 trucks and 3,500 buses. What is increasing over the last years, it's a number of motorcycles and mopeds, and we see that at the moment there is this 35,000 motorcycles and mopeds. We have about 40,000, is 39,000. Regarding the road traffic safety, well, in recent years, Latvia, we are among the top 5 EU countries with the highest fatality rate per million inhabitants, and you can see that last year was about 75. Those are still preliminary data, but where average European level is 46. So yeah, we see that we need to work on that. And then I have a older history here in my next slide. It shows a 30-year history from 1991, and you can see that in that time there was about 1,000 fatalities, 1997 fatalities. Well, somehow we are climbing down this hill, but anyway, if you look at the last years from 2020, for example, yeah, it shows some like a sea waves, but I hope there is not the ninth wave coming, because last year was an increase again, and we hope that this increase will be the history. I have here also some facts regarding our activities. First one is here, this road safety program in 1994. It was for 5 years period. At that time, this program was in order to implement the new regulations. And as the first one, this is 50 kilometers in the cities, then daytime running lights. The first one, it was for the winter time. Then in next this activity, I have this special funding from insurance. Is dedicated for the campaigns, for other activities, education. And also we have now for 20 years this penalty point system, which is for the drivers who are collecting tickets, and when they collect some number of those tickets, he have to give back the driving license. Then for more than 20 years we're working on a black spot. We are improving the safety on those places. That's why we don't like to call those black spots, but we need to create safe spots. Then you can see that as the next activity, I have this first mobile speed camera deployment. It was kind of successful if you look at the statistics, but it had a somehow bad reputation in society. So it was removed from the streets for some period, and it somehow affected the safety. If you see that there was an increase, so laser is working, yes. Then there was a second attempt in order to renew those cameras, and you can see there is an impact on road traffic safety. But yeah, now we are starting last year this average speed camera network, and hope that this might also affect our statistics. Regarding this year so far, well, yeah, it's how to say, this year is looking better, but anyway, I'm kind of not that optimistic because we have this winter time coming, dark time, and let's hope the tendency will be the same, but yeah, only the time will show. So over the last years, this was like somehow a stagnation, if you look at the numbers, and this year, yeah, let's hope that this tendency will be kept in the future. Regarding the policy planning, what already Minister mentioned, that we have this our own Road Traffic Safety Council. This council consists of the Minister of Transport, Minister of Interior. We have members from State Police, from Road Traffic Safety Directorate, Latvian State Roads, from Rescue Services, from also from NGOs and from university and from municipalities. And the task of this council is to take decisions regarding this special funding, which is also for campaigns, also for some control measures. And as this council mostly consists of senior officials, we have also started this think tank, which is a platform for expert meetings, and we can have more time for a discussion and find some best solutions in some questions. Regarding the policy planning in Latvia, we have now at the moment this road traffic safety plan till 2027. This plan is now in a midterm. This plan is focusing on three main factors. It's a person, every road user, a vehicle with its technical condition and equipment, and also road infrastructure, of course. This plan has implemented some activities that we have also in the European Union. There was this, for the first time, this key performance indicators for road traffic safety, implementation of Vision Zero measures, and also before this plan was adopted, we had a specific study with 4 different scenarios, and in this plan was chosen the most appropriate scenario for Latvia. But if you look at the results on the right side, you can see this optimistical picture, how it should be looking. On the left side, there is this, yeah, it's a pessimistical picture, I would like to say. But yeah, regarding the seriously injured numbers, we see that there is a decrease. But yeah, fatalities rate there, especially last year, was like going back to the start point. And this is not acceptable, so we need a new initiatives in order to move to this direction. That's why now, as this plan is in a midterm, we have now this interim impact assessment, and we're going to focus on the speeding, because we see, as already Minister told, and other colleagues will show in the presentations some statistics. That's why we have created some activities that we plan to work on this plan. And in expert groups, think tanks, and studies, we have about 30 new initiatives, and here are the few of them. First one is this cancellation of +10 tolerance, which is really like for us a challenge, because we have to convince not only society but also parliament members that this is not acceptable, that the +10 is only this warning, no monetary fine. Then as a next, we are planning to expand this speed camera network also, then implementation of like systematical road traffic safety investigation, not what this police doing, but not to find the guilty one, but to find the circumstances, and in order to find some problems that we can be working on. Then we're going to work on this driver fatigue research, because we see this as a problem, especially we have accidents with some trucks this year. We are working on improvements on a new driver training process. We're going to prepare some guidelines for road designers. We will also have a discussion regarding the confiscation of vehicle for the drivers who have a lot of tickets collected, and also with dangerous defects. Of course, there are going to be some improvements in the road infrastructure, especially safety intersections, left turns, and this year we have also started this course for drunk drivers. If they want to gain back their driving license, they have to go to this course to understand what were the mistakes, why you were driving drunk. And of course, we have this confiscation of vehicle for drunk drivers, and yeah, this is also like in package. If you drive for this specific level of alcohol, your car is being confiscated. Yeah, this year we have mandatory registration for electric scooters, mandatory helmets, but this is for children, some speed zones. Then we are going to work again with this improvements in penalty point system. And then we're having also discussion to increase the price for insurance for persons who have a lot of violations, drivers. Yeah, that's what I tell. This is investigation of fatal accidents. This year, this is a pilot project, but yeah, we hope that this will be a systematical approach in next years. And yes, there is a specific expert group who is going to the scene of the accident, taking some pictures, using information from police protocols, having interviews with the participants and witnesses, using some other materials from police investigation, also some materials from forensic and medical institutions, also using car crash data and analyzing this data, and hope that this will be as a systematic approach that we have also look at some other country experience, for example, in Finland and in Estonia, how they are using this system, and hopefully implement this as a system also here in Latvia. What I already mentioned was this courses for drunk drivers who want to become again back as a drivers, and that we understand that this is drinking and driving is dangerous to others, not only to the driver. And we understand we can not only punish this violator, and if the driver is not addict, if he is addict, he has to get some, I don't know, go to the doctor. But if he is not addict, he must participate in this program, understand their mistakes, and the idea is to change the person's thinking and understanding. This course is like in a small groups, 6-8 participants. They have to pay for this course. There are 7 topics: motivation, habits, addictions, thinking errors, managing of emotions, problem-solving strategy. And then there is this summary of this whole course. We are also working on campaigns. We understand that this is also a tool to work with the road users. Every year we have a plan. We're having some topics, and yeah, I have some examples here. The first one was in this summer. This said in Latvian, the road is not a runway for planes, for example. Then the other is focusing on smaller road users. It's for the children inside the public transport. Then this last example is from public transport lane usages. You have to respect the public transport. And then I was also involved in this campaign with corrector asphalters. It's for children's, and this campaign got some award in Baltic Sea region, and this was interesting for children to also study some road traffic rules in an interesting way. We also understand that we need to involve more and more participants in this road traffic safety. So that's why we have also, we're also awarding the best ones, but not the idea is to find the best one, but to make a healthy competition. That's why we have now already for 3 years this road traffic safety award, which is for the safest city and safest municipality. It's an annual event, and every year we are collecting statistics regarding road traffic safety, which is a main factor for this award, and then using also some interviews of the citizens from the city or municipality. Then the other one is the Safest Company Car Fleet Award. We have a good cooperation with one insurance company in this award, and idea is also to encourage the fleet managers to create safe company fleet and promote good practices also. We have 4 categories. It's for passenger cars, local freight carriers, and international carriers, and then also lower risk and municipal and state fleets. Yeah, and this is also like to promote good practices, not to say you are doing wrong, but to show how you should be doing. Yeah, and in the end, I'd like to express this, ending my presentation. Are we dealing with the same problems? Because I have about a 100-year history. Same problems. I have newspapers. For example, this one, first one is from 1938. It's about drunk drivers on the roads. That's in Latvian, that there are still drivers who drive under influence of alcohol. This problem, then from 1929, that's regarding the pedestrian safety. It's said that in the United Kingdom, there are 35% of all accidents are because of wrong decisions from the pedestrians. And what they said that they need to work on the pedestrian path, and on all roads there should be a pedestrian path. Then also this from 1934, regarding that there are also some passengers doing mistakes. For example, here we see that passenger heard a strange noise in the engine, so he opened the doors and was wind, and he was taken out and got some high injuries. So ending my presentation, we have to understand that people will not change, but we can create a system that is safe. So this is not like we're going to replace policemen with a camera. It's just as example, but this is a starting point because we will implement the systems inside the vehicles. Of course, it might take decades because automated vehicles will come, I don't think in the next 5 years, but maybe next 10, 20 years. But anyway, the idea is to reduce the risk of human errors, and that's why we have to work on that direction. So thank you for your attention. That was shortly. My colleagues will explain more about statistics because, yeah, it was just like brief sketch of how we are dealing with road traffic safety in Latvia. Thank you.
Paldies. Un pirms mēs, tā teikt, turpinām dziļāk iedziļināties Latvijas nacionālajās īpatnībās attiecībā uz satiksmes drošību, vispirms gribētu lūgt tādu kopīgu ieskatu tajās mācībās, kas ir gūtas, tajā pieredzē, kas ir gūta visā šajā PIN programmas darbības laikā, un tādēļ aicinu Eiropas transporta drošības padomes pārstāvu šeit priekšā. Please welcome on the stage Johnny Carson from European Traffic Safety Council about this PIN program and the lessons learned and experience gained during this program.
Thank you. Do you hear me? Yes, so my name is Jenny Carson. I'm the program manager for the PIN at the European Transport Safety Council in Brussels. So we talk a lot about the PIN program. It stands for the Road Safety Performance Index program. It's a project we've been running, as we say, for nearly 20 years, since 2006. And it's really a country in which we benchmark the road safety performance of 32 countries. So we have the 27 EU member states, and then also the UK, Norway, Switzerland, Israel, and the Republic of Serbia. And we look at their road fatalities, their road deaths, and also serious injuries, and we benchmark them against each other. You can see the map here is what we call road mortality, road deaths per million population. And we use a kind of traffic light system of green to red. So we have a steering group, a small steering group, which guides the sort of direction of the project, the program. And we have a person in each of the 32 countries who provides us with the data, the statistics, and the information about their own country. We're very grateful to them. So every year we publish an annual report in June time where we really look at road deaths and serious injuries. We focus on the progress, particularly the progress towards the EU target of reducing road deaths and serious injuries by 50% by 2030. And this map comes from our annual report. And then we also publish 2 thematic reports throughout the year on a particular topic. So earlier this year, we published one on rural roads, so the safety of rural roads. And later this year, in October, we will publish one on e-scooters. Then we also hold events like today with our PIN colleagues, and we really take them as an opportunity to try and share the experiences of other countries in the PIN to support everybody in the project. Along the bottom there, you see the sponsors of the PIN program. We are very grateful to them for their support. So why are we here today? We are here today because in our PIN report we published in June, 20,418 people died on European roads last year. And I spoke there about the EU target to reduce by 50%. And we can see, much like the Latvian chart that Janis showed, that we are really not on target. There was a big drop, obviously, with the COVID era, but now we are going back up, and we are not really following the trajectory that we should be doing. If we look here, this is the sort of chart we have in our our report, and it really shows how each country is performing over the last decade in terms of reducing road deaths. So you can see that there are a lot of countries that are below the EU average, but it's really not enough to be meeting the target. It's important when you look at this chart that some countries, I think including Latvia, are very small, and so their percentages can be very dramatic, let's say. But there is still work to be done. I wanted to show this slide, which is not actually a PIN slide. It comes from the European Commission. They have a database, the CARE database, which they use, and it's a collision matrix. So it's showing the collisions that happen to create the fatalities on European roads. And I think really I wanted to show this one is for urban areas, because we're focusing on vulnerable road users today. You can see here one of the, well, the biggest bubble is pedestrians killed in collisions with a car. Also important is single vehicle collisions in urban areas. And then if we look at these totals together, that 66% of the people killed on an urban road were what we would call a vulnerable road user. We're also talking about speed here today. So what we know from our PIN research is that in 26 of the 27 EU member states, the standard speed limit on an urban road is 50 kilometers per hour. Spain is the one country that has 30 as a default. But we know also that the SAFE system tells us that on urban roads where vulnerable road users mix with traffic, that speed limit should ideally be 30 kilometers per hour. Also, some research that we've done within the PIN program to look at speeds in urban areas, and we found that there was a range of between 35 and 75% in different countries of the vehicle speeds that are higher than the speed limit. So, you know, Latvia is not alone in the percentages it has. If we look here across the different road types, so we can see that 35 to 75% on urban roads, but there's also up to 63% of people on rural roads exceeding the limit and up to 59% on motorways. So what can we do about it? The PIN reports, they don't only look at the data, we also try and look at the science and propose look at the countermeasures that you can put in place to address road safety issues. So we're looking here at setting safe and credible speed limits so that when somebody is on a road, it feels like the right speed to be driving. Infrastructure is also important, traffic calming. Again, this self-explaining, self-enforcing. Enforcement doesn't have to just be a camera or a policeman. You can design a road so that it feels right to do a certain speed. Obviously, enforcement has a big role to play in keeping speeds down. We're going to hear about lots of speed camera networks, etc. And campaigns. And more now we will also be seeing how vehicle technologies keep people down to the speed limit. We have ISA now, intelligent speed assistance now mandatory on cars as well. So what does setting safe speed limits mean? Here we take the safe system approach to safe speed limits, and this is what the safe system says. So 30 kilometers on urban roads, 70 on rural roads without a barrier, and 100 on rural roads with a median barrier. But it's true to say that the speed limits on much of the EU's road network is actually higher than those roads are the protective quality, let's say, of those roads. When it comes to urban areas in particular, but I think this extends across the road network, we really encourage this idea of modal priority, where we really prioritize the road users according to their vulnerability, let's say. And there, obviously, you have pedestrians at the top, cyclists, public transport, cars, and goods vehicles. So to bear this in mind when you are designing your roads and the infrastructure. In our PIN reports, we also issue a lot of recommendations for national governments, but also to the EU. And here is just some of them. We have many recommendations in our report. But here, I've said it before, credible speed limits, self-explaining, self-enforcing roads, vehicles, road user education, etc. Then I also included these recommendations that we had, particularly in a report, particularly focusing on urban areas. So here we're looking at public procurement of safe vehicles. It can be part of your the tender that you issue. Simply reducing motorized traffic in an area with a lot of pedestrians and vulnerable road users can also help. Better infrastructure, 30-kilometer zones, reducing the speed limit, local targets as well. These are all things that we can particularly do to make urban areas safer. Thank you very much. So these are the two reports that I was showing the data from, and they are available on our website.
I'll take that. Thank you very much. Un tagad par situāciju Latvijā. Vispirms par to, kādus secinājumus, kādas mācības mēs varam gūt no statistikas datiem. Par to stāstīs Ceļu satiksmes drošības direkcijas pārstāvis Juris Kreitsbergs. Sagaidām ar aplausiem.
Labdien! Patiesi prieks runāt. Labdien! Patiesi prieks runāt Eiropas Savienības drošības padomes, transporta Savienības drošības padomes pasākumā, kur ir patiesas paraugs, kā strādāt ar datiem, kā informēt cilvēks par drošību. Un ja kāds šobrīd vēl neseko tam, ko viņi publicē, tad noteikti to vajag mainīt. Šobrīd arī Eiropas komisijas dati paliek arvien labāki, bet ilgus gadus šie ETSC dati bija labākie, kādi ir pieejami par satiksmes drošību. Un tālāk arī, kā līdzīgi, angļu valodā, kā iepriekšējā runātāja. So first about speed. We definitely know that Latvia has problems with speeding. And if we look at recent projects, the first one, the baseline project, and I'm looking here at speeds on rural roads, the Latvia had the lowest compliance rate to speed limits among those who supply data, and there's 29%. If we look at ESRA questionnaires, it's self-assessment, how we speeded within a recent period of time, then again we are at very top. And the reason why I'm looking at rural roads is not because it's more important, but it more shows the mood of drivers, because the data in urban area are not so reliable. And again, from rural roads, and the mentioned one, 10 kilometers per hour without monetary fines. What we can see, that 80% or 85% of the traffic, which is normally considered as the part of the road users who make some reasonable decisions or somehow based decisions, they are going up to 105, 104 kilometers per hour, which is 90 kilometers per hour, the permitted speed limit, 10 kilometers without monetary fine, plus 3-4 kilometers per hour, which is the rather error. So, and if we look at the green area here, which is the distributions, the most cars go between 22 and 92 and 98 kilometers per hour. And these are only the cars going in free traffic on the conditions where they can drive faster. This is not the average speed on our roads. This is on the sections where one can drive faster. There are no speed cameras or other things that can prevent from free driving. If we look for a longer period of time, and we have data from Latvian state roads from 2011, and we can see that the plot is for average speeds, and the percentage how many comply with different speeds. And this black one is the speed limit. And we can see that there has been no month when half of the traffic comply with speed limits. So even in winter conditions, which is, some say that it's good maintenance of winter roads, but otherwise more than half still do not comply with speed limits. And to analyze the consequences, these data were processed here in CSDD, data from Latvian state roads, while the report was by Riga Technical University. The professor is present here as well. And on the horizontal axis, we have average speed in this case, but the report contains some other speeds as well. And on vertical is number of fatalities on rural main roads in Latvia. And we can see that within the last couple of years, we definitely have decreased the average speed by a couple of kilometers per hour. And this year, actually, we have the lowest fatality rate historically that we have had. But the numbers are quite small, like we are 4 fatalities below the minimum currently. But these graphs show that at least 10%, or in this case, even 10 fatalities can be saved when we drive in a mood where speed is reduced by, say, 1 kilometer per hour. Going to vulnerable road users. Actually, a lot has been done in Latvia. If some years ago, about 50% of fatalities were vulnerable road users, then it came below 50. This year, it's below 40% of fatalities are vulnerable road users. But what we do have, this is from extra questionnaire, and it's quite interesting that there are 10% of our road users who don't see themselves as pedestrians. So I don't know how they get to their car, but actually this is not that original. For other countries, the figures are even bigger. But it shows that some 30% do not ride bicycle, some 70% do not drive these e-scooters. The mopeds are not popular, although Jānis mentioned numbers, but most of them are not in use. So below 10% are driving mopeds, slightly above 10% with motorcycles, while definitely only 27% say they are not car drivers from the participants in the questionnaire, and the highest representation is as for being a car passenger. So then we'll go through these vulnerable road users, and starting with pedestrians. Similar slides will be on other road users, so I'll start with the bottom part, which is quite similar made to everyone, every other participant, and we'll see that the numbers there. We can see the general numbers of, and this is from 2011 up to 2024, and therefore we analyzed data up to August, and we can see the numbers, and here printed in blue is the participants under influence. So even pedestrians are not very safe for themselves when they, and the data only where there are fatalities or injured in the traffic. The problem with the speed limits on the places of these traffic accidents is that we do not have very reliable data. This is manually processed for 2024 only, and we can see that half is of our injured and fatalities are on the roads where speed limit is 50, 1/4 lower speed limit, 1/4 higher speed limit. And gender-wise, for pedestrians, it's quite equal. If we look at age distribution, there is a peak with children, so it's definitely worth to work with children, and it's starting to decline somewhere at 60, where also number of people also is declining. When we look at a crash matrix, the European Union data definitely have these very nice looking crash matrices. We'll have at some time that as well. This is in the same figures in other way. So pedestrians mostly are hit by cars. And then when it comes to bicycles and e-scooters, since they share sidewalk in many cases, is something like around 7% in total. But when we look at fatalities, then we can see that most of pedestrians were killed by cars, by light commercial vehicles, at heavy goods vehicles, and other quite heavy vehicles. While from the other side of the crash, only one fatality was in a car involved in an accident where some pedestrian died. Cyclists. Again, struck by cars, in most occasions, there are quite a lot of single bicycle accidents, 1/4. Then bicycle crash with bicycle 5%, and the others in lower numbers. But still the highest fatalities definitely in collisions with cars and some other heavy vehicles. We see the peak in age again with children, and then it's going down more steadily than pedestrians. But we can see the cyclists above 85 also participating in traffic accidents. So some are under influence, a lot in urban areas, and a little bit more represented by men. E-scooters, the reason why in some of these charts are from 2021, because on e-scooters we have reliable data from 2021 only. And there's already a difference that most of the crashes are single e-scooter crash without any other vehicle involved. And we definitely know, and it's also common for Europe, that most of the crashes are not somehow registered in this. These data are from police, which is data supply, and we analyze the police data. While the car is on the second place, 2 e-scooters, some 4%, with bicycles, again, they're sharing the sidewalks, some 4%, and the others are lower. We can see, again, peak among children, then there's a peak around 30 years, and then it's going down, but up to some 70 years, there are still some e-scooter riders. And all these data include passengers also. That's why we have young children here. So otherwise, it's permitted from 14 years only to drive. It's not always complied with, but normally 2 years old or 1 year old is not riding an e-scooter. The problem is definitely with driving under influence, and this is average, but if we look at the nighttime, there are some hours then more than 50% of the people in accident have been under influence. And again, more represented by male than by female. Interesting thing about e-scooter is that its maximum permitted speed is 25 kilometers per hour. And this is an ongoing research from colleagues from this organization, where they, among other things, measure the speeds by e-scooters. Again, similar like baseline, where they can drive faster. So when the rented scooters are driving below 30, then if we look at the other devices that look like e-scooters, but formally are not e-scooters, they reach speeds up to 60 kilometers per hour, which is quite a very risky behavior. Mopeds, small numbers that we have, but again, mostly hit by cars, then a lot of single vehicle accidents, others are lower. When it comes to fatalities, not that many, and typical, again, hit by motorized vehicles. Interesting thing is about the age. Many users are pre-motorcycle age, so, and very steep peak where the people start to try to drive a motorized vehicle. And then it goes down when people reach 20 years of age. Quite a lot of under influence, quite a lot in urban area, but much more male-dominated than the other previous means of traffic or vehicles. motorcycles. Again, hit in accidents by cars, a lot of single motorcycle accidents, and the others figures are much lower. But interesting thing is that even if the number of accidents with some injuries is higher with cars, when it comes to fatalities, then more than twice the numbers are with single motorcycle accidents. So they are taking risks by themselves that unfortunately they are dying by themselves. Definitely quite a lot involving cars and other vehicles, but since the risks are very high, the age distribution is quite steep on both sides. Rises up to some years, 30 years, and it goes down also quite steep because people, I hope, realize the risks they are taking. Less driving under influence, quite a lot in urban environment, and very male-dominated means of transport. In addition, we look at some motorcycle risks because both numbers of motorcycles have risen, and this is the mileage that has risen for motorcyclists. And these figures are interesting if we look at. So this is compared the risk of having serious injury or fatality per every kilometer driven by motorcycle compared to car. And if we compare what we have seen in other countries, so we can see that normally this figure is between 20 and 30. So it's 20 times more risky to drive a motorcycle than to drive a car. And the problem is that people do not feel the risk because to be involved in a fatality with motorcycle, you have to drive on average 7 million kilometers. While for cars, it's 150 million kilometers. So each of us can't feel this, and this is one of the reasons why, okay, we think that those traffic safety people do not tell the truth about risks. So I don't feel it, it's not about me. But again, the last ones of the formerly vulnerable road users, quadricycles, they are definitely very different. They are mostly single vehicle crash. We see that all the fatalities are within these 3.5 years are single vehicle crash only. Small vehicle, some are driving under influence, mostly off-road, some on the general roads, and again, male-dominated. Very risky, and it's mostly not traffic, but kind of dying for entertainment only. And to mention, although these are formerly not vulnerable road users, but look at some, I can't not mention children in our cars, which are vulnerable in terms that they can't protect themselves, and we have to protect them. And the other thing is that we have not even reached Vision Zero targets for children in our cars, although we are quite close. So this is kind of target we can achieve, at least children not be killed in our cars. While when we look at both seriously injured and killed, then figures are lowering, but the targets have to be reached at some point. Thank you very much.
Paldies, Kreisberga kungam. Mikrofons mums vēl noderēs. Un tagad tas dienas, no kura tad nāk šie dati, no kura mēs pašiem pirmajiem uzzinām par šiem avārijām, par apstākļiem, par visu, kas tur notiek. Juris Jančevskis, valsts policijas pārstāvis, dalīsies ar savu pieredzi.
Labdien, ministra kungs, labdien, kolēģi, labdien, klātesošie viesi. Prezentāciju sniegšu latviešu valodā, tā kā tiem, kam būs nepieciešams tulkojums, lūdzu to izmantot. Un manā prezentācijā ietilpst valsts policijas statistika par ātrumu pārkāpumiem un par mazāk aizsargāto ceļu satiksmes dalībnieku izdarītajiem pārkāpumiem un statistiku ceļu satiksmē. Salīdzinājumā būs šī gada pirmie 6 mēneši ar iepriekšējā gada 6 mēnešiem, un tālāk jau es sīkāk paskaidrošu šīs izmaiņas. Tātad Ātruma pārkāpumi. Liela problēma joprojām un diezgan ilglaicīgi. Noteikti ātrums ir viens no iemesliem negadījumiem smagiem. Un šeit salīdzinājumā ar 23. un 22. gadu arī šogad šajos pirmajos 6 mēnešos šie pārkāpumu skaits ir pietiekoši liels skaits. Liels daudzums, ko fiksē valsts policija, fiziski apturot transporta līdzekļu pārkāpumu izdarīšanas vietā un vadītāju saucot pie atbildības. Iepriekšējā gadā bija pieaugums, jūtams pieaugums šiem te pārkāpumiem, kad policijas darbinieki fiksē to. Tas ir izskaidrojums ar to, ka mēs mazliet izmainījām šo te struktūru policijā. Līdz ar to arī lielākam policijas lokam, skaitam tika deleģēta kompetence uzraudzīt ceļu satiksmi, kā arī tika papildināts valsts policijas autoparks, nodrošinot to ar ātruma mērīšanas iekārtām. Iepriekš tas bija tikai atsevišķiem dienestiem, bet ņemot vērā, ka šis skaits tika, transporta līdzekļu vienību skaits tika papildināts, tad šis fiksēto pārkāpumu skaits arī ir pieaudzis. Vēl var minēt, ka nesen tika arī izmainīta likumdošana un ātruma kontrole tika deleģēta arī pašvaldības policijām. Atsevišķas pašvaldības šo jau ir īstenojušas, iegādājuši, nodrošinot sevi ar šiem tehniskiem līdzekļiem. Tā kā tuvākajā nākotnē šis kopumā konstatētā pārkāpumu skaits par ātrumu viņš pieaugs, jo kontrolas mehānismi ir palielināti. Ja mēs skatāmies pārkāpumu gradāciju pātrumiem, tad tas arī ir ilglaicīgi un faktiski nemainās. Tad lielākais ātrums ir pārsniegts diapazonā no 11 km līdz 30 km. Tātad tas ir gan apdzīvotās vietās, gan ārpus apdzīvotām vietām. Mēs redzam, ka lielākā daļa pārsniedz šo te pārkāpumu robežu. Tātad apmēram no visiem konstatētiem pārkāpumiem 23. gadā 28,000 ir tikai šajā diapazonā, kad ir pārsniegts no 21 līdz 30 km/h. Tas pats arī ir turpinās arī šogad. To arī mēs novērojam un faktiski īpaši nekas nemainās, bet tā gradācija paliek tāda pati. Ātruma pārkāpšana ar tehniskajiem līdzekļiem. Tātad mūsu rīcībā ir šie stacionārie fotoradari. Stacionārie fotoradari, valsts policijas pārvietojumā fotoradari, tehniskās iekārtas transporta līdzekļos, kad pārkāpumi tiek fiksēti neapturot transporta līdzekli. Un pagājušā gada augusta mēnesī Latvijā tika ieviesta video ātruma kontrola posma kontrole, kas arī turpinās šogad, un gada beigās un ar jaunā gada šie posmi tikai palielināsies. Mēs redzam, ka 6 mēnešos šogad šis fiksēto pārkāpumu skaits ir lielāks jau kā pagājušajā gadā. Un šogad lielākais ātruma pārkāpumu skaits ir fiksēts tieši ar stacionāriem fotoradariem. Un mazliet mazāks nekā iepriekšējā gadā, bet joprojām šie skaitļi ir pietiekoši lieli. Un arī daļā par stacionāriem tehniskām iekārtām vai vispār tehniskajām iekārtām mēs redzam, ka šī tendence ir mazliet savādāka, kā ar gadījumos, kad pārkāpumu fiksē policijas darbinieks, fiziski apturot transporta līdzekli, bet mēs šeit redzam, ka arī lielākoties ātrumi tiek pārsniegti daļā par 11 līdz 20 km/h, kas ir pietiekoši liels skaits un arī dominē joprojām un jau ilglaicīgi. Nākamā prezentācijas daļa būs par mazāk aizsargātajiem ceļu satiksmes dalībniekiem. Tie ir velosipēdu un elektroskrējēju vadītāji, gājēji. Tātad mēs redzam, ka kritums ir šajā kreisajā pusītē. Mums ir negadījumu skaits, kuros ir iesaistīts gājējs. Tātad šajā pusgadā skaitlis ir liels, bet ir kritums kopējiem negadījumu skaitam salīdzinoši ar iepriekšējā gada pirmo pusgadu. Iepriekšējā gadā šis pieaugums bija lielāks kā 22. gadā. Salīdzinot ar velosipēdu vadītājiem, tad skaitļi ir ļoti līdzīgi šajā pirmajā pusgadā, bet neliels kritums arī ir šajā jomā, kad šie vadītāji tiek iesaistīti kādā no negadījumiem. Negadījumos cietušo un ievainoto skaits, tad mēs redzam, ka ja šogad gājēju skaits ir samazinājies gan daļā par viegli ievainotajiem, tad smagi ievainotie ir neliels pieaugums. Ļoti līdzīgi, bojā gājuši arī ļoti līdzīgi, tikai par 2 bojā gājušiem mazāk kā iepriekšējā pusgadā. Tad, salīdzinot ar velosipēdu vadītājiem un velosipēdistiem, tad redzam, ka tur ir kopējais ievainoto skaits ir ļoti līdzīgs, bet daļā par smagi ievainotajiem un bojā gājušiem ir jūtams samazinājums. Elektroskrētiņu vadītāji arī ir diezgan nopietna tēma. Tā ir arī viena no mūsu tādām prioritātēm aktīvajā sezonā, kad policija organizē šo te uzraudzību un esam secinājuši, ka joprojām neskatoties uz dažādām drošības kampaņām, masu mēdījos kopā ar sadarbības partneriem, mēs redzam, ka joprojām jau vairāk gadu Latvijā ir ieviesta atsevišķa atbildība, ko regulē ceļu satiksmes noteikumi attiecībā pret šo kategoriju transporta līdzekļu vadītājiem. Redzam, ka joprojām ļoti daudzi to nezin, joprojām šo rīku izmanto kā izklaides rīku, sevišķi nedēļas beigās, vakaros, kā jau iepriekšējais prezentētājs minēja, ka pēc kaut kādām ballītēm vai ballēšanām un svinībām, kad viņi vienkārši izmēģina savus spēkus ar šo transporta līdzekli, nav nekādu iemaņu, līdz ar to arī krīt, gūst miesas bojājums. Šajā pusgadā ir ievērojams samazinājums gan kopējiem negadījumu skaitam, gan cietušo skaitam, bet redzam, ka joprojām, ja šogad, kā piemēru var minēt, 134 negadījumi ir, kad policija izbrauc fiziski uz notikumu vietu un reģistrē šo negadījumu, tad apmēram 60 gadījumos mēs informāciju esam saņēmuši no medicīnas iestādēm. Tie ir tie gadījumi, kad šie vadītāji paši brauc, gūst miesas bojājumus, cieši paši, un mēs redzam gan šogad, gan pagājuši gadu šajos skaitļos, kas saņemti no medicīnas iestādēm, puse no tiem gadījumiem vadītāji ir bijuši alkohola reibumā. Var minēt, ka arī uzraugot satiksmi, tad lielākais pārkāpums skaits, ko izdara šie vadītāji, ir braukšana reibumā un pasažieru pārvadāšana, kas ir aizliegts. Jā, tātad šis slaids parāda šo statistiku par mazāk aizsargātajiem dalībniekiem, viņu izdarītiem pārkāpumiem. Redzam, ka gājēji šajā pusgadā ir bijuši disciplinētāki kā velosipēdu vadītāji, ir jūtams samazinājums, velosipēdu vadītāji ir faktiski palikuši tādā pašā līmenī. Elektroskrētiņu vadītājiem ir kritums, mēs arī to salīdzinām ar to, ka šogad ir stājušies spēkā grozījumi attiecībā ar šo transporta līdzekļu veidu obligāto reģistrāciju, un mūsu novērojumi liecina to, ka ielās parādās mazāk šie skrējēji, kas neatbilst elektroskrētiņu definīcijai, kuru jauda un ātrums pārsniedz šo noteiktos ierobežojumus, un tas zināmā veidā varbūt arī šo samazinājumu ir devis. Bet var minēt droši, ka no šiem pirmajos 6 mēnešos no 200 konstatētiem pārkāpumiem šeit tātad puse ir pārkāpuma par braukšanu reibumā, un pārējie pārkāpumi lielākā daļa par pasažieru pārvadāšanu un braukšanu pie luksofora aizliedzošā signāla. Ieviestie uzlabojumi no valsts policijas puses šajā tēmā par ātrumu, tātad kopš pagājušā gada mēs strādājam valsts policijas rīcībā ar 3 netrafarētie transporta līdzekļi, 2 no kuriem ir aprīkoti ar šo ātrumu mērīšanas iekārtu. Darbs ir organizēts tā, ka transporta līdzeklis piedalās kopējā satiksmē, sistēma fiksē pārkāpumus, neapturot transporta līdzekli un tālāk jau tiek sagatavots lēmums un nosūtīts transporta līdzekļu īpašniekam. Sistēma paralēli ātrumam arī fiksē transporta līdzekļa to, vai transporta līdzeklim ir veikta šī ikgadējā valsts tehniskā atļauja, vai viņam ir iedota pieeja piedalīties satiksmē, kā arī par obligātās apdrošināšanas esamību. Esam konstatējuši, ka šis rīks ir ļoti efektīvs. Sākumā, kad mēs uzsākām strādāt šo pārkāpumu skaits, bija krietni lielāks attiecībā par tehniskās apskates esamību un apdrošināšanas. Šobrīd viņš nokrities, bet joprojām dominē tieši lielākais skaits pārkāpumu, kas saistīta ar ātruma režīmu pārsniegšanu. Tā kā strādājam ar šīm automašīnām pa visu valsti, un var minēt, jā, ka arī ikdienā no visiem pārkāpumiem, kas tiek fiksēti no valsts policijas, puse ir tieši ātruma pārkāpumi, un joprojām ātruma pārkāpumi ir lielākais fiksēto pārkāpumu skaits no valsts policijas puses uzraukot ceļu satiksmi. Kā arī minēja prezentācijas sākumā, tad 22. gada beigās valsts policija mainīja gan savu iekšējās reformas rezultātā savu darba organizāciju, gan arī tika iegādātas šīs te policijas automašīnas, policijas mobili iecirkņi, kas ir aprīkot ne tikai ar aizturēšanas telpu, bet arī ar ātruma mērīšanas iekārtām, un līdz ar to arī plašākam policijas darbinieku lokam šobrīd ir iespēja ikdienā veicot dienestu pienākumus, fiksēt arī ātruma pārkāpumus un citus pārkāpumus ceļu satiksmē, ko iepriekš darīja tikai atsevišķi dienesti. Par elektroskretņu vadītājiem arī no valsts policijas puses un iekšlietu ministrijas puses kopējā sadarbībā tika nesenā pagātnē ieviesti izmaiņas sodu politikā attiecībā par šiem skrējēju, analizējot šo statistiku, un par atsevišķiem rupjiem pārkāpumiem tika palielināts naudas sods, piemēram, kā par braukšanu reibumā, par pasažieru pārvadāšanu, par luksofora aizliecošā signāla neievērošanu, kas ir visvairāk konstatēta pārkāpuma no šīs kategorijas vadītājiem. Tā kā ikdienā mēs plānojot darbu praktiski visa gada garumā, viena no prioritātēm ir šie mazāk aizsargātie ceļu satiksmes dalībnieki, atbilstoši kalendāriem gadam arī šīs prioritātes mainās, bet noteikti ātrums un mazāk aizsargātie tie ir mūsu ikdiena, kuriem mēs pievēršam īpašu uzmanību ar dažādiem uzraudzības veidiem un metodēm. Paldies! Īsumā viss. Ja ar jautājumu esmu gatavs atbildēt.
Paldies! Iespējas diskusijām un jautājumiem būs pasākuma noslēgumā. Tagad pirms mēs iepazīstamies ar ārvalstu pieredzi vēl par tieši mazaizsargāto ceļu satiksmes dalībnieku drošību Latvijā stāstīs Ernst & Young Baltika pārstāvis Nauris Kļava.
Labdien. Labdien. Hello everyone. So my presentation will be in English. And I have this honor and a chance to tell about the project that is financed by European Commission, by DG Reform, to support, to provide structural reform initiatives and support to the Latvian government and Ministry of Transportation, and EY, together with a team of international and local experts, collaborating very closely with the Ministry of Transportation. We have worked on a project how to on the practical recommendations on how to improve road safety for vulnerable road users. And actually many of the findings and recommendations that you will see a bit later, they correlate very much with what was told by the previous speakers already. And we are really glad that there is some progress is happening, and hopefully we will see that statistics will continue to improve. So yes, why? And I will spend just a few words on the importance of micromobility, and we see new technical means coming into the market, and we see people being more active with bicycles and other means of transportation. And I think it's quite obvious that micromobility is here to stay. Its importance will increase. It is reshaping actually the transportation in urban areas, yes. And with that comes also need for the regulation, for some policy work, and to make sure that these changes that we see on a global scale and also locally in urban mobility, that these are safe to the users, and that we really get the benefits, maximum benefits out of it in a safe manner. So yeah, as I mentioned, so the objective of the project was to provide to provide national authorities, Ministry of Transportation and other authorities on practical advice on how to improve vulnerable road users' safety. We did as-is analysis, analyzed data, analyzed the practice and the situation in Latvia. We also did several case studies for the countries like Sweden, and which was mentioned already several times, Netherlands, that have actually very interesting approach to the safety of bicycle drivers. Yes, for instance, I'm not sure if everyone knows, but helmets are not mandatory in Netherlands, and they have some reason. They have their own reasons for it, and Netherlands have, I think, the most of the bicycle kilometers in Europe, and one of the lowest fatalities rates when it comes to the bicycle drivers. And also we looked at neighboring countries, Estonia. I think we looked also in Belgium. So, and then based on this as-is analysis, we worked on the practical recommendations, and also we developed the methodology for the awareness campaign in social media and in other public communication channels. So what was important that we engaged with the large number of stakeholders, not only Ministry of Transportation, but we talked with NGOs like Pilns, cilvēkiem, also with the neighborhood associations, state roads, also the state police. So this was quite, I must say, comprehensive involvement of the many stakeholders, and we received really very interesting and valuable insights from these stakeholders. And I think involving NGOs and these neighborhood associations that are in Riga, that was really also a very valuable experience for us, and I think it provided good results. So when we approached safety and roads and safety for vulnerable road users, we used this framework of 5 safety dimensions that are safe roads, safe speeds, safe vehicles, safe road users, and finally, what is also very important, safe post-crash care. And these were the dimensions where we analyzed the existing situation and also provided our recommendations. We used a lot of data, and we used data provided both by CSDD and by the state police. And we also did field visits. So we not only tried, but we also managed to find the actual spots in Riga where the correlation of where there are higher number of accidents involving vulnerable road users. And we, together with experts, we visited those places and also had some practical recommendations on what could be the root causes of these accidents, and what could potentially be done in those particular spots to decrease them. And not only in those particular spots, but also when thinking of the design guidelines and design of the infrastructure in future. So some of those lessons learned definitely can be applied. So key takeaways, and I think many things were already mentioned by the previous speakers, but just to highlight some of them. So infrastructure in Latvia is fragmented, yes, and infrastructure is definitely an issue, and what we also see that in Latvia, vulnerable road users, they actually use the same they use the same infrastructure. Yes, we don't have dedicated lanes. Let's say we do have a dedicated lanes for cyclists, but these scooter drivers still can drive together with pedestrians. We don't have a ban on cycling or scooters in parks, in public parks, and there are many cities where actually this is introduced. So on the same infrastructure, there are pedestrians, bicycle drivers, and scooter drivers share actually the same space. And when we see what let's say also from the statistics, we see what it means. So municipalities, when it comes to the speed, and speed, as mentioned, is really important. We see that there is a lack of political will in some of the municipalities to introduce more of the areas where with speed limitation of 30 kilometers per hour. And already, as mentioned, that there are currently no fines for the speeding up to 10 kilometers per hour. When it comes to the user behavior of these vulnerable road users, what was already mentioned, that there is, let's say, I would say even the culture of driving under influence, especially for the scooter drivers, and this was confirmed by the representatives of the police, and yeah, and also, let's say, there are lack of maybe clarity and lack of culture of sharing the same space with other users, and this is what Mr. Minister referred in the opening speech. This collective responsibility for the safety, specifically when it comes to the vulnerable road users. This is let's say, still to be developed, and I think many of us can see it on everyday basis. Yes, that there are either accidents or some dangerous situations on the pedestrian streets that are happening. Regarding data, I wanted to highlight one data point, which is that, as mentioned also previously, most of the road accidents involving vulnerable road users are collisions. Yes, either car hitting pedestrian or car hitting cyclist. But what we see that there are also quite a high percentage of so-called overturning. So these are actually basically scooters falling, in very simple words, and this is the third cause of the accidents. And when it comes to the recommendations, so I will highlight some of them, and there is much more in our reports, and this has been already extensively discussed with the Ministry of Transportation and other stakeholders. But we see that the guidelines for creating a safer infrastructure in urban environment would be really beneficial. Also emphasizing the piloting new and safe infrastructure solutions within the new development projects. We see that there definitely is an educational component, and introducing road safety lessons or bringing road safety topic to the schools is important. When it also referring back to the behavior and the driving under influence and other let's say behavioral issues with vulnerable road users, so definitely in moving to the zero tolerance policy for driving under influence is one area. Also, as mentioned already previously, removing this 10 kilometer speeding tolerance. Introducing measures for alcohol interlocks for trucks or buses and other heavy duty vehicles, and increasing number of 360-degree cameras that were also mentioned by the police representative that demonstrate themselves very efficient. And also require micromobility service providers to implement reaction tests for the rentals, for instance, starting from Friday till Saturday or Sunday morning, so that this can really be tested whether the scooter driver is eligible to drive the scooter in the particular hour in the night, and whether his or her condition is appropriate for driving. And there are also recommendations for the post-crash care, where we would see that more coordination among various institutions would be really beneficial. So thank you, and happy to answer questions during the Q&A session. Thank you.
Paldies. Man ir Divas lieliskas ziņas. Pirmkārt, mums semināra turpinājumā būs iespēja redzēt prezentācijas par citu valstu pieredzi gan tādos jautājumos kā 30 km/h ātruma ierobežojuma noteikšana, gan par fotoradaru tīkla attīstīšanu, gan par ātrumu samazināšanu no 90 līdz 80 km/h uz lauku ceļiem. To visu mēs pēc brīža ieraudzīsim, bet tagad kafijas pauze. Hello! Esiet sveicināti, mēs turpinām Eiropas transporta drošības padomes un Latvijas Republikas Satiksmes ministrijas organizēto semināru par ātrumu un mazaizsargāto satiksmes dalībnieku drošību. Un tagad par citu valstu pieredzi, par to, kā iet citām valstīm, kā iet visā Eiropas Savienībā, un jautājums, kurš allaž izraisa asas diskusijas un daudz dažādas viedokļas, ātrumu samazināšana līdz 30 km/h. Eva Mičela-Rakī no Atēnu Universitātes šodien ir kopā ar mums un izstāstīs par citu valstu pieredzi šajā jomā. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Hello from my side as well. I will speak in English. First of all, I would like to thank you for the invitation and congratulations for the excellent organization. I am Eva Michela-Rakī. I am Civil Transportation Engineer, PhD and Research Associate at National Technical University of Athens, and today I'm going to present our work with regards to the review of 30 km/h speed limit benefits in Europe, a work together with NTUA professor George Yannis. In our presentation, we will speak about the key facts about speeding. Then we will see an overview of the benefits of 30 km/h speed limits in Europe. And we will also discuss about the cost-benefit analysis example, as well as we will see the main findings of our work and a campaign that is currently, this time is taking place. The objective of our work was to critically assess the effectiveness of 30 km/h speed limit in Europe in order to enhance urban sustainability. And in order to achieve this object, we try to identify the changes before and after the implementation of 30 km/h speed limit in cities in terms of 6 different aspects. We focused on safety, emissions, energy, traffic, livability, and public health. We performed a meta-analysis which included 17 cities and 70 studies, and the systematic search of relevant scientific and grey literature was taking place under the PRISMA guidelines. And there were several inclusion criteria that were taken into account. Let's begin with the key facts about speeding. First of all, as we all know, road crashes consist a major societal problem worldwide with 1.19 million road fatalities per year. And of course, we also know that speeding is the #1 cause of road crashes, especially in cities where pedestrians, cyclists, and motorcyclists are highly exposed and vulnerable in case of a collision. And in fact, according to the literature, we know that 70% of fatalities in urban areas include VRUs, which is a high, important percentage. And speed has been also found to be a major contributory factor in around up to 15% of total crashes and up to 30% of fatal crashes. And the speed, of course, also have a direct impact in the quality of life for urban residents, especially the safe mobility of VRUs. Let's have a look at some very interesting statistics with regards to speeding events. We know that when speed increases, then the risk of a crash and of its severity also increases. And actually, only a 5% increase in average speed can lead to approximately 10% in all injury crashes, as well as can lead to a 20% increase in fatal crashes. These are really high percentages. And in fact, we know that the increase in crash risk is usually attributed by the fact that drivers have less time to react in case of a difficult traffic situation. So there is also less time to react, and the maneuverability of speeding is also lower. And as you can see, pedestrian fatalities increase from 10% when we are in 50 kilometers per hour, and can also 10% in 30 kilometers per hour collisions, up to 90% in 50 kilometers per hour collision. And now let's talk about the benefits from a 30 kilometers per hour speed limit. Based on the international literature, it has been found that 30 kilometers per hour makes streets safer, healthier, greener, and more livable. In fact, 30 kilometers per hour have a direct impact in road safety, as a reduction in speed limits, of course, can lead to reduction in road crashes, road fatalities, and serious injuries. And the risk of death is almost 5 times higher in collisions between a car and a pedestrian at 50 kilometers per hour compared to the same situation at 30 kilometers per hour. There is also a direct impact of 30 kilometers per hour in air pollution. And we know that streets that promote safe walking and cycling can reduce car dependency, and also can reduce harmful vehicle emissions that contribute to climate change. And of course, we found that citywide 30 kilometers per hour speed limit can also reduce several emissions that come from both diesel and petrol cars. There are also some very interesting benefits in terms of fuel consumption, as lower speeds lead to lower fuel consumption because drivers are more cautious in their driving task and perform less harsh acceleration and harsh braking events. And this, of course, leads to smoother traffic flow, and drivers promote more eco-driving, and this can lead to fuel economy. There are also some very safe benefits in terms of traffic flow improvement. Motor traffic volumes decrease, since slower speeds also encourage for more active, sustainable, and shared travel. And it has been observed that reducing the speed limit at 30 kilometers per hour can lead to improved traffic flow and improved traffic congestion because there are less start and stop traffic movements, which is also really important. And lastly, calm driving can also promote a healthier lifestyle for all residents, and especially for children and the elderly. And with 30 kilometers per hour, pedestrians, cyclists, and e-scooter active mobility and public transport can be also promoted. To date, more and more European cities have started to implement the 30 kilometers per hour speed limit in their cities, with the exception of major axes. And as you can see here, recently, there are a lot of cities like Amsterdam, Bologna, Florence, etc., that have implemented this measure in order to enhance urban sustainability. And here are the main results of our findings based on the meta-analysis that was conducted in 17 cities from 70 studies. And the results are really impressive. as we can see here, the average values. And in our analysis, we found that the citywide 30 kilometers per hour speed limit can lead to average reduction in fatalities by 37%, in serious injuries by 38%, as well as in road crashes by 23%. There was also a high reduction in emissions by 18%, as well as noise decreased by 2.5 decibel. And also, 30 kilometers per hour speed limit led to reduced fuel consumption by 11%, and traffic congestion also reduced by 4%. These findings are really impressive. And here you can see in more detail the results from our cities that were included in our meta-analysis. And you can these are for only the data that we had available for our cities. And as you can see here, for instance, in Bristol, we had a 63% reduction in fatalities, or in London, we have a 46% reduction in road crashes. These findings are very impressive. And we continue with the cost-benefit analysis example that was implemented in Athens till the end of the year 2030. And we included not only costs in terms of implementation and operational, but also we included all benefits in terms of road crashes, fuel consumption, and emissions. And the results showed that in case of the reduction of the speed limit to 30 kilometers per hour, the society benefits from this reduction in road casualties amounted to 130 million euros over this 10-year period. And the most important economic benefit arises due to the improvement of road safety through the reduction of fatalities of road crashes. Let's move on with more details about this analysis that was implemented in the city center of Athens. And it was estimated that this measure, 30 kilometers per hour, can annually save up to 33 fatalities, 83 and 830 serious and slight injuries, can also save fuel consumption by 48 million liters, and can also save 65,000 tons of emissions. The results also revealed that the change in traffic congestion was negligible, and the indirect benefits of increasing the use of public transport and active travel are also significant. And a cost-benefit analysis was also implemented in the broader area and in Greece. And the results from the road network of all cities of Greece, of course with the exception of major axes, concluded that we can save 104 fatalities out of 635 of all fatalities of Greece. We can also save annually 123 serious injuries and 783 slight injuries. And to conclude, we have to say that 30 kilometers per hour, of course, can have a direct impact socioeconomic. And to date, more and more European cities have started to adopt lower speed limits. Of course, the benefits are a lot in terms of not only fuel and energy consumption and air pollution, but also in terms of road crashes, road safety, and traffic congestion. And we revealed that traffic congestion was negligible because without a significant decrease in travel times. And Of course, public acceptance of speed limits reduction tends to improve over time, and especially by pedestrians, cyclists, and public transport passengers. But still, unfortunately, there are some inertia and reactions from car drivers that also need to be addressed and need to be taken into account. The message is clear that the implementation of 30 kilometers per hour speed limit is the road safety catalyzer, and is the since long-awaited single road safety measure with such a significant improvement at such a low cost. And we should mention that it is such a high societal impact for such a small change in our habits. And for this reason, it is really essential to have other accompanying measures together with the 30 kilometers per hour speed limit implementation. It is important to have other awareness campaigns, to have also other traffic calming measures with intelligent transportation systems, and it is also essential the public transport and active mobility promotion, along with monitoring, evaluation, enforcement, and police cooperation. And lastly, despite the blatant scientific evidence, the discussion and introduction of city-wide 30 kilometers per hour speed limit faces strong reaction and rigid inertia, where supporter voices are often weak and inefficient, resulting in hesitant politicians and authorities. And for this reason, after more than 30 years of dedication to road safety science and several marathon races, NTUA professor George Yannis decided to pass a different message in road safety and decided to step beyond the traditional scientific place and combine his both passions for a cause. He decided to start a campaign and run 30 marathons in 30 months in order to actively promote the adoption of 30 kilometers per hour speed limit in as many cities as possible. He has already successfully implemented 27 marathons, and he has all sub 4 hours, and he has already 3 marathons until the November in order to complete his campaign. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Un mēs turpināsim. Nu, šķiet, ka pat Latvijas autovadītāji šķērsojot Latvijas-Lietuvas robežu sāk uzvesties mazliet citādi. Un tam ir savi iemesli par to, kā Lietuvā iet ar fotoradaru ieviešanu, ar ātruma kameru ieviešanu, par šo tīklu un par velo infrastruktūras tīklu attīstību. Mūsu kaimiņu valstī stāstīs Nemunas Abukauskas no Lietuvas transporta ministrijas. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I am Nemunas Abukauskas. As mentioned before, I'm from Ministry of Transport and Communication from Lithuania. And today I will present you 2 presentations about our speed management system development in Lithuania and about cycling network development in Lithuania as well. So thank you very much. Of course, thanks for Jenny. I am here, so it's a big. It's very important to. I think it's very important to take a part as in an event like this. Thank you very much, and of course, it's a good opportunity to visit your excellent museum. Thank you. As Lithuanian said, is 1 bullet and 2 rabbits. Yeah. Okay. So let's start from a safety camera program in our country. And at first, a few slides with general information. As you see, we have decreasing in road fatalities, but well, in our country and as in your country as well, the situation is not stable. Of course, when we look in the past, it's just difficult to believe that in 1991 we have so high fatality rates. It's unbelievable, and changing is very sufficient. But it's, as I said, not the situation. It's not stable, okay, we have this figure. I think it's not for 2023. Sorry, it's from 2022. In 2023, we have some increase. Sorry. But okay, so in our plans, of course, it's to get better and better. When we are talking about road safety, of course, we are taking in our minds, we have not only engineering measures. Yes, we have in our minds, of course, and better quality of our, I don't know, mentality is maybe, it's not maybe, it's of course of safer vehicles as well. But when we are talking about road system, road safety measures, engineering road safety measures is very important. And we have a lot of them in our roads, and we have implementing about not less than 1,000 road safety measures in 1 year in our roads in Lithuania, as rebuild four-legged junctions to roundabouts, to improve lightning condition, to implement some speed calming measures, etc. But today we will talk, we will pay more attention on camera or speed management system. And if we will talk about speed management system, we should look back in 2006 when we have implemented several, I don't know, maybe 3 cams on our roads in very unsafe junctions, and the results, it's very fast and very fantastic. So in 2007, we have implemented 139, I think, speed cams on our roads. And there was a lot of discussions why we need to implement this measure. It's maybe not very good. So after 2 years, in 2009, we have first research that shows that the result of this measure is just fantastic. Yeah, you can see that number of accidents is decreased in 83%, and killed, injured as well, more than 80%. And this caused of decreasing of black spots on our roads. The main thing why black spots is disappeared from our roads, because mostly all of these cams was implemented in black spots, mostly, because the methodology was like that. Is this road section is black spot? If yes, the investigation should show, is there road safety, influence on road safety because of high speeds or overspeeding. So as you see, in periods from 2006 to 2016, almost all black spots are disappeared. So But this system, the contract was for 10 years, so from 2007 to 2017. So in 2016, we started to think what to do next. And then in 2016, we was implemented first average speed control system in our roads, but simultaneously we started to conversate with our society, because the society is, you know, they afraid for unknown measures. And as you see, the society more likely to agree that speed management system is a good measure and it must be on our roads. On the other hand, we can see that all the respondents says that, sorry. I can find the okay. Thank you. And sorry. Okay, so as you see, the average speed control system is less likely than speed cameras in general. And it shows that this system sometimes, and we know exactly that people say that local speed cameras is good measure. We understand why you installing them, but why you installing long stretches with average speed control measures, we don't understand at all. But of course, we are continuing with installing this measure, and in today we have 135 sections with average speed control system. And of course, we have 78 speed cameras as well. In this year, we would like to implement more than 50 new average speed control systems. But as I said, this system is not good in 100%. And as I said, as I mentioned, it could be that in general, speed cams is more effective than section speed control system. And I can explain in a few words. So for example, if you have a stretch with 5 kilometers and you have 3 dangerous junctions in that. So at first you can see that, oh, it's good decision to make just one average speed control stretch and you will solve all your problems. But it's not true, because the problems in junctions still occur. So the better measure, if you have just 3 dangerous intersections or junctions, it's better solution to put 3 local cameras in it. And as I mentioned before, society more dislikes section average control system. They're annoying. They say, why when I'm driving, I don't look at the road, only on my speed. You know, it's opinion in our society. And one more thing, that we had the situation that, of course, all people like to overspeeding, or mostly all of them, but our politicians, parliament members said that, hey, it's something not good measure. Where must be these stretches, the politicians must set, not the experts. So we have situation at this moment that we are in a discussions with parliament members, and we are discussing now, is it good enough to make politicians to make some decisions in these measures? We think they don't need to pay influence on this measure. Of course, and let me shift in a second my presentation and make you familiar with developing cycling path network in Lithuania. Okay? And let me start from 2021. Why? Because in this year we have elections, and new politicians understood that we must do something. And when we started investigation, we find quite interesting situation. We find that we don't have any data how many cycling paths or cycling infrastructure we have in our country. And we identify that during the 30 years of independence of our country, we implemented this infrastructure without any system. And we identified that the definition of cycling infrastructure, what is cycling infrastructure, is missing. And missing planning process as a holistic planning process. But we identified as well that every municipality wants to develop this mean of transport. So it's good that they want. And we started from infrastructure inventorization. And after inventorization, we have figures like that. We have about 3,000 kilometers of cycling infrastructure in our country. 1,000 kilometers is on municipality roads, and about approximately 2,000 kilometers on near the state significant road. And on a picture on the right, you can see the scheme from inventorization map. It's available on our Ministry of Transport site. You can see and look on where we have infrastructure in our country. The second step was to renovate our regulation. Because we have regulation how to design cycling infrastructure, but it's quite old. So the goal is to create general cycling infrastructure network planning process, to adopt best practice from different countries, to set, as I said, clear definitions for cycling infrastructure and main parameters of this infrastructure, and to set sufficient visual infrastructure measures for clear situation between cars and cyclists. And the document is prepared already, but now the document is laying on our minister's table. So it's very important moment at this moment. Okay, as I said, there is one more problem. So after the investigation where we have our cycling infrastructure, we said that every municipality the meaning of cycling infrastructure, they understand in different way. So, for example, these 3 examples is not cycling infrastructure. It's only pedestrian, it's sidewalks or imitation of cycling infrastructure. So the definitions of what is cycling infrastructure is clear, identified and stipulated in our new regulation. So it's only 5 infrastructure types. It's cycling path with a sidewalk nearby, it's cycling street, it's mixed bicycle and cycling path, and it's a cycling lane. And let me point you that this one example is not suitable in many cases, because when you have a lot of pedestrians and cyclists on the same road, it's a problem as well. So in our regulation, this one can be used only in a very few types. When you have a small amount of pedestrians, not small amount of cyclists, but small amount of pedestrians. So the axis is cycling. Well, and as I said, to have sufficient data, we have created a data platform which consists all data from all municipalities with where and which type of cycling infrastructure we have. So, for example, we have a municipality, or Lithuanian Road Administration, it's cycling path or cycling street, or etc., where it is length, width, type of surface, and year of implementation, and other relevant data. But it's only in a starting process. We have platform naked, without any data at this moment. Next thing, as I said before, there was missing planning process. Why it's important? When we investigated, we said that municipalities, as I said, they want to implement, but don't know where we can use some technical parameters. They reconstructing some street and build some cycling infrastructure, but no holistic overview where and why and in which stretches first we must implement it. So in our regulation now we have just steps for necessary planning process, because as shown in this scheme, it's an example why sometimes some transport system didn't work. It's because with gaps, they have gaps. So you never will have cycling in your city if your infrastructure will be with gaps. And of course, planning process help you to set your main destinations. Because you don't have enough money to build separate cycling paths in all streets, yes, and all yards. So you must set your main destinations and to put money in that destinations. And all other streets, residential area, should turn into the 30-kilometer zones where cyclists and pedestrians and car drivers can use the same space, as showed in this picture. But the problem is that municipality still lives in old-fashioned way. They build wide streets for cars and leave narrow sidewalks for pedestrians, and didn't think about cyclists. Sometimes it happens. But in our plans is that we should turn to a system like this. Okay, some words about financing perspectives. So at this moment, we are encouraging municipalities to put more money in infrastructure development, but of course, our ministry cannot command, but we are encouraging them. But we have, we have increased financing for Lithuanian road administration, which is responsible for state significant roads. So in 3 times for cycling infrastructure it's a huge change. And one more thing, that we have 100 million euros for municipalities which have SUMPs, sustainable urban mobility plans. So we have 18 municipalities, 18 cities with SUMPs, and they can use this money for cycling infrastructure. And the Ministry of Transport and Communication are supervising this money. We have prepared guidelines for financing, and there is stipulated that only for this money can be used only for main flow function routes to connect main destinations in the city, as I said. So you can use for cycling paths, for cycling and pedestrian paths, and for cycling streets, but not for imitation. As I said before, and only for main destinations. To create a skeleton, you know, the main network, what should work. And there you can see a good change, good example, moving from imitation, as I said, to real cycling infrastructure is very good example. Very similar transformation. Very good example when you have not enough space. Yes, you have buildings nearby and other things, obstacles. So the narrowing of too wide street to make more sufficient infrastructure for cyclists is very good decision as well. One more very good example, I think, and the goals are several. There is lower speeds, better quality of life, and good quality for traffic of all kind of traffic users. Yes, and what we have done in 4 years. So as you see, these 3 diagram shows how many cycling infrastructure was made in 4 years period in municipalities, in state significant roads, and total in Lithuania. So as you see, there is no any change in more infrastructure, but I can explain it's because the EU money is not in a municipalities' pocket at this moment. So we have preparation process for design preparation, other preparation. So it took some time. And one more maybe problem, I don't know, that you can see that half of all infrastructure was built in 5 biggest cities. So even we have a situation that there are 12 municipalities with a 0-kilometer cycling infrastructure building in period. It's a problem because smaller municipalities, they don't have enough money for implementation of this infrastructure. And last but not least, our plans for future to 2035, we're planning to implement not less than 2,000 kilometers of pedestrian sufficient cycling infrastructure, and we need for that not less than 600 to 700 million euros. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Un tagad mums būs iespēja iepazīties ar Francijas pieredzi, ar to, kā viņiem gāja ar ātrumu samazināšanu uz reģionālajiem ceļiem, samazinot to no 90 līdz 80 km/h, kādi bija rezultāti, kādi bija ieguvumi, kāda bija sabiedrības attieksme un kā cilvēki to uztvēra. Antoine Pestou mums stāstīs par to, kā Francijai veicās šajā jomā.
Hello everyone. First of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak here. I'm going to talk in English, and I'm going to talk about the reduction of the speed limit in France from 90 km/h to 80. So first, key figures for France, 66 million inhabitants, 600 billion vehicle kilometers per year. In 2017, 3,700 road traffic fatalities. And it's important to know that 80% of the population is living in urban areas, but 63% of road traffic fatalities occur on a rural network. This measure has quite a background, politically speaking and scientifically speaking, but just quickly, it's coming from a recommendation from the National Expert Committee. There was an experimentation before the implementation of the measure, and the measure has been in place since the 1st of July 2018. It's important to know that outside urban areas, on rural roads, more than 50% of fatalities occurs on 20% of the main rural network. It shows that it's important to act on all roads and above all on the main rural roads where the most traffic is and where the most fatalities occur. We've learned also in France that the most fatalities occur where there is a lot of traffic without congestion, and where the traffic flows, where people think that can go fast, and that is to say when the road is nice and comfortable. But that's this kind of road where we have a lot of road traffic fatalities in France. And also, when we set up ambitious target to reduce fatalities by 50%, for example, it's important to act where most of the fatalities are, and in France, it's on rural roads, and it's important to take strong measures to aim this kind of target. A little bit of historical trend for fatalities in France. The greater drop in fatalities occur when speed limits were set up, for example, in the 70s, but also when speed were enforced by speed cameras, for example, in 2003, where we can see a great drop in fatalities following the implementation of speed cameras in France. So no, the effect of the 80 kilometers measure on several aspects. First, about speed. We've seen a great drop in speed the day of the implementation of the measure on the 1st of July 2018. And a drop of around 4 kilometers per hour for passenger cars, coming from 87 kilometers per hour to 83. We've also seen a reduction for heavy good vehicles, even if their speed limits was already at 80s. We've seen a reduction of 2 kilometers per hour for HGVs. Here you can see some distribution of the speed when the 90 kilometers per hour was in place, and after with 80. About road traffic fatalities, to evaluate the impact, we've separated the country in two different kind of network. The concern network, that is to say the rural road without central carriage, and other roads, that is to say motorways and urban areas. And in the second semester of 2018, we've seen a great reduction on the concern network and a rise in fatalities on urban areas and on motorways. About time delay, we've seen little to no reduction for time travel for car passenger, around on average 1 second per kilometers. On several itineraries, we've also found time saving for some itineraries. So it has not a really negative impact on journey time. About acceptability, it has been a great concern in France. Before, and so we've made several surveys before the measure and during the measure. Before, in April 2018, 40% of the French population was strongly against this measure. And for example, after more than after 10 months after the measure, 25% was still strongly opposed, but it was declining over time. Here are the complete figures about this. For the French population, went to 40% strongly against to 20% over time. We can decline this with people living in urban areas. We were more against this measure. It's interesting also to note that women were more in favor of this measure than men, and quite interesting to note this also. And about air pollution, we've calculated also an evaluation of the situation and declining by 3% of greenhouse gas with these measures. And so to make the balance between all the costs and benefits of these measures, we found it was greatly positive for the society, mainly thanks to the reduction in road crash, but also thanks to the reduction of emissions, fuel saving, and with really low cost to implement this measure. And so to conclude on this, it was highly effective and really low cost, with a strong decrease in fatalities. We've calculated that around the 21st month of this measure, 350 lives were spared thanks to these measures. And we've seen little augmented increase in journey time, but an ongoing increase in acceptability around the population, but still with a lot of strong people strongly against this measure. Maybe it was because we found nobody in the Road Safety Observatory to run 80 marathons to promote this measure, but I don't know. And so, since 2020, counties, France is divided in 100 counties. Counties can raise back the speed measures following protests from the French population. And it has quite a negative impact because when a county will raise back the speed limit, it's often for the main rural roads, and we've seen that on the main rural roads, the most fatalities occur. So it's quite a negative impact. We try to estimate this impact despite the impact of COVID, but we found that in 2021, because of counties raising back the speed limit, around 74 lives were lost because of this. And so to conclude, speed is an accident factor like no other. It contributes to the accident, but also to the severity of the accident. And so decreasing the speed limits has a lot of impact, not only for speed limit, but also for other accident factors. And that's why it's important to act on the speed limit. All of the evaluation of the 80 measure is available on our website in English, more than 100 pages on the subject. Also, the evaluation of the raising back to 90 kilometers per hour is also available in English on our website if you want to know more about these two evaluations which have been made on this subject in France. Thank you for your attention, and thank you for the translation also.
Thank you very much. Atgādināšu, ka visas šodien redzētās prezentācijas būs pieejamas Eiropas transporta drošības padomes mājaslapā. Nu, ne uzreiz, bet pēc dažām dienām būs, un tie, kur ir atstājuši savu e-pastu reģistrējoties, saņems arī informāciju par to, kad tās prezentācijas ir parādījušās internetā, tā kā to visu varēs izpētīt un pārbaudīt vēlreiz un iepazīties un saglabāt turpmākai lietošanai. Tagad saliksim šeit priekšā krēslus un sagatavosimies ar visiem mūsu runātājiem nelielai diskusijai, un būs iespēja uzdot arī jūsu jautājumus, tā kā viss, kas sakrājies iepriekš dzirdētā laikā, to varēsiet likt lietā. So now we will put some chairs here on the stage or in the front, and all our speakers I would like to invite back here in front, and we will have a short discussion, and you will be able to ask your questions. So if you have waited long enough, then this will be time to come out with your questions about anything we heard today, about every topic. And also, as I mentioned before, the presentations will be available on ETSC website in a few days' time. So starting, does anyone already has any questions? Yes, please.
Hello. I have a question to the Ministry of Transportation of Latvia. I heard that Ernst & Young has suggested that we consider implementing zero tolerance for alcohol, which has been already implemented in Estonia some years ago. Has that been considered, and is there any data on how that affected road fatality rates in Estonia after it was implemented?
Yes, I can answer this question. Well, there were some discussions some years ago already about this experience from the other countries, and idea is that we need an evidence that accidents occur when there is this low limit, because now we see from the statistics that there is most of the tragical accidents are because of the higher alcohol levels. But of course, we are going to work, and we need also from this, we're hoping on this research project that is from the Road Traffic Safety Directorate regarding those accidents. And if there will be evidence that this is a cause of the accidents, that we might come back to this conversation.
Any more questions? Jautājums var uzdot gan latviski, gan angliski, un arī atbildēt ir iespēja, kā nu kuram ir ērtāk. You can ask questions English or Latvian as you prefer. Anyone else? Yes, I will wait.
I was just wondering if there's any EU-wide regulation that could affect, for example, speed limits. For example, having 30 kilometers an hour by default in cities. Is this something that's being considered on the EU level as well?
I can't really speak for the EU institutions, but I do know that there is a question of competency. So the European Union only acts when it's in the interest of the whole European Union, and the member states have their right to make their own decisions as well. So this, I think, applies to speed limits on roads. But at ETSC, what we have been asking for is perhaps a recommendation at the European level. So we have a recommendation at the European level for alcohol limits of 0.5 generally, and 0.2 for professional and novice drivers. So at ETSC, we've been saying perhaps we could have something similar for speed limits, an EU recommendation. But it's not, there is a question of competency, I know as well.
Anyone else? If not, I would like to ask a more open question, because considering all the benefits from decreasing the speed limit, which we heard today, and also remembering our minister told at his speech at the beginning, it's hard even to convince the parliament members, and also Mr. Rabukauskas told about the same, why it is so hard to convince us to reduce the speed. Why we do not like it? Anyone?
Well, I think that the major problem is that drivers are related to their own car, and they refuse to take another transport such as refuse to take public transport or cycle or walking to their work. So the major problem is that they think that by reducing the speed limit, they are up to 30 kilometers per hour in cities, they think that they will make more time to go to their work. But this is a mistake.
Can we say, sorry, that the persons who are changing their way of transportation or doing multiple ways are more keen to reducing the speed of cars?
Even with the public transport, they will save not only time but money. But again, they refuse to take public transport, and they are related to their private car.
Any other?
I think it's well, I think it's quite obvious that we are automotive nations, yes, and the car is primary means of transportation. It's sometimes also a status symbol. So, and I think it goes both for Latvia and Lithuania, yes. And now with the new generation coming in, and I have younger colleagues who actually don't have a car, and they don't even think of buying a car because they don't need it. Yeah, they use car sharing. They may find some other options, but I think it might be a change of generations, of really changing this mindset of owning a car, having a car, driving and speeding as being a cool and acceptable behavior.
But also in France, the people did not accept it.
Yes, it was really complicated. But in the surveys we've made, the time delay did not come very often. It was mainly I like to drive at that speed, and I don't want to reduce my speed. I don't see the risk of going at that speed. And so if I don't understand this measure, these speed limits, I don't respect that. And so it's important to convince people by what they for example, some people can be sensible to what fatalities, but others to saving money by saving fuel, others by saving emission. So we have to convince people and to show all the advantage of this kind of measure. But it's complicated. It's to convince people. We have been driving at that speed all their life, and why change now? It's not an easy question.
So actually, emotional obstacles. Yes. Any other opinions?
I think one of the things that comes most strongly is the importance of communication, and we need to communicate these things more loudly. The fact of the time delay being mostly very small, negligible, the fact also of reducing the number of deaths, and I know certainly from Brussels where they really are reporting now every 3 months on the reduction of the fatalities and the collisions, to really raise awareness of the fact that this measure is having an impact on the road safety. And so I think a lot of places now that have implemented 30-kilometer zones, they're finding really that communication is really important aspect of it. Not just putting up the signs and telling everyone to go 30, but really talking about why we are doing it and what the benefits are, and showing also the data to show that it's working.
Mr. Bukauskas, you wanted to add something?
We are talking the same things in different words. I agree with 100%. But in society, the problem of decreasing speed is understanding that some limitation of freedom. You know, sometimes it happens. Oh, why you limit my speed? I am a human. I know what I am doing. Yeah, so that is a problem. So we must change a conversation about not decreasing speeds, but we must talk about regulation, regulate the speed. When you show for society, then you, in your stretch, when you have 30 kilometers per hour zone, your average speed is the same when in a high-speed street with street lights, with wide lanes, yes, but your destination will be reached in the same time. So, and you will get a safer situation to live here and to raise your children. And they said, okay, that's fine.
How much of importance is this enforcing infrastructure? We already saw in your slides that when the bike lane is getting bigger, the car lanes are getting narrower, and it It just makes the people drive slower even without the limit.
Yes, yes, I am agree with 100%. It's caused by the narrower we have lanes, the lower we have speeds.
So communication, the infrastructure, anything else?
And
what else we have to do?
And enforcement, and enforcement as well. There is a lot of people who didn't care, and they don't have license. They driving drunk, and a lot of people like this.
So anyone else?
Several people mentioned this 10 kilometers per hour allowance without a monetary fine. And quite interesting is, while I was presenting here, the discussions went on in the Parliamentary Commission on the issue, should we change this? And actually, I managed to hear only the last words or last presenters there. First of all, it was rejected because several reasons, and I'll quote some of them. And but again, a little bit with just prepare for the third listening, that maybe we will listen to you if we reduce, if we start monetary fines from +5 kilometers per hour. And the main reasons are, like, this was proposed by Ministry of Transport, and they were blamed for that they first came with this proposal, but not telling the truth when finally we will have the very good roads built, the safe ones where everyone can drive safe. So just build the roads and then we'll start to be safer. The other things is, we all know that ± 10 kilometers per hour is kind of shit discussion. You know, we know that doesn't affect safety. Safety, if someone drives 150 kilometers, those are the bad ones, we are the good ones. So that's the other discussion. The third is with the scapegoat is here next, sitting to me, because they don't know the reasons why the accidents happen. So if the accidents do not happen due to speed, then why should we speak about speed? While people do not understand that whatever the cause of the accident, the consequences mainly depend on speed. And we definitely, each and every of us cannot feel this, because there is, quoted by me, these 150 million kilometers to be driven in a car to finally be killed. And not many of us are close to this target. So every one of us has some chances that will be another person to be killed, not me, or our relatives. So as it happens in politics, we need that there is some more loud case, more prominent people be involved, like we had in municipalities where heads of municipalities, their relatives were injured, unfortunately. And until that happens, okay, but we can live with this one as well, but somehow killing 140 persons per year for a lot of us does not seem enough.
So that was a brief report on what was discussed today in our parliament, right?
Okay, it's not complete and maybe a little biased because, you know, that's emotional bias also. It was more professional there. It's a little bit of my interpretation.
Anyone else wants to add something? One more big question is that European Union target by 2030, actually it's our target for everyone here, every one of us, to reduce the deaths by 50%. Are we still able to achieve that? Will we do that, and what do we need to do? No one likes to predict the future.
I think the time is running really fast, but it might be a reachable target if we could have, for example, such measures as we had already today, but we have to fight with some, I don't know, with the problems that we are really having with the society, because Parliament is a member of society, and we have to convince about the things that are, I think for us, it's basic things that we all understand. We have to convince them that it's needed, and we cannot implement such measures that could really have some impact. And if we could more convince society and also Parliament members for other activities, we could reach this target. But I think the challenge is to work on also with the people's minds in order to understand that they're also involved in road traffic safety, and we must all participate. Of course, we will have a safer roads, safer cars, but how to make this traffic participant safer? It's actually your own task somehow, and yeah, we have to all work on this target. I think so.
Just to add that actually this year we have a hope that we will be on target if we will at least act as we do during this year. But when it comes to definitely the long-term targets like 50% reduction, it would not be possible with any changes that were discussed here. But actually this year, hopefully we can be on target.
That's we as Latvia, or we as European Union?
European Union, you know, we are somewhere in the bottom of the statistics, so they will help. The good thing that normally people do not understand, I definitely like the statistics coming from ETC, but the good thing, you normally speaking with people in Europe, it's not a competition. Although it's ranked, it's the first one and someone gets a prize, but when you speak to people, it's something like we achieved 20 fatalities per million. We are not happy with that. We can share our experience, but it's up to you what you do. We don't push you, we don't compete you, we are saving lives of our people, and we suggest you to save your people, if you wish so. So it's not about competition, not about who is first, it's about who is surviving, who's not.
Anybody else? Do we have the ability to reach this target, or we have to set a new one?
I think that we are optimistic, and the target set for 2030 can be achieved if we based on international literature findings and if we based on data. The most important thing is that drivers should change their state of mind. If this happens, then we can achieve the best results for road safety.
Other opinions?
Yeah, I just it's not.
Yeah, it's working. It's okay.
Yeah, I think we know what we need to do, but it's whether we do it. I think the solutions to reach the target are there. It's just, yeah, whether we do them now or if it's too late. But I think there's solutions, and I think you can see even, you know, people think this Vision Zero, it's not attainable, but we can see that we can. There are countries where no pedestrians, or cities where no pedestrians and cyclists died. Latvia, the child road deaths are nearly at zero. Norway had 0 child deaths in 2019. There are ways to eliminate road deaths. We may be now only seeing it from certain road users, but it is possible with the right measures. We have the solutions. It's whether we implement them.
Does anyone want to add something? No? Maybe someone has any questions? Yes, please.
Not really a question, just a comment. Jenny said that the European Commission will not do anything about that, really, because they are not responsible. But I am from the Federation of Road Traffic Victims in Europe, and we decided some years ago to have a manifest to slow down the traffic on motorways, on urban roads and on rural roads, like 30, 80, maximum 130, and nothing has happened since then. So I think we have governments who are responsible for the lives of their people. and it's a human right to survive in the traffic. But nothing happens. So I think the best thing we can do, go to our own governments and in our own state and try to change this policy. I don't think as you said, we know every measures. We know what is possible. We have heard today what we can do with slower down the traffic, the speed, and nothing happens. So ETSC, we will support you in your willingness. But I think the governments are responsible, and we have to go more to the government. So, for example, the European Parliament, they are all coming from every country. So we have to try to make the members of Parliament to our supporters. So I hope that we will achieve this goal.
Does anyone want to reflect on that?
Can only agree to that.
One more thing, the micromobility is increasing, and it's developing even faster than we can develop the regulations and safety measures for these participants in road traffic. Of course, it has huge benefits, but also it has a lot of fatalities already. Do we know what to do with them and how to address them? All those electric scooters, everything else.
I maybe just say from an ETSC point of view, so last January, I think, February, we published a report with some recommendations on how to improve the road safety of e-scooters, and we looked at both the technical side, so how an e-scooter is made and let's say approved at the European level, and also things like the rules of the road, so whether they should have a helmet or ride with two. Or, so we published this report, and we're going to be updating it in October. At the end of October, we publish a new report with some recommendations with what the science is saying. But obviously, it's very new. You know, a lot of these things only came in 2019. The data was also only collected, I think, from 21. It's very new, and it's difficult to keep a pace, like you say. But we will publish everything that we know so far at the end of October. And there are definitely things we can do with looking at the machines and also the rules of the road, the traffic code, let's say, relating to them as well. So. We're looking into it.
Any questions? Or anyone wants to add something?
I think that regarding the electric scooters, we're somehow on the right direction, but then there is this question which I think we cannot solve in a local level. It's regarding other devices. And for example, like mono wheels, some electrical devices which we don't know what it is. And we know what is electric scooter, how fast can it go. Okay, the regulation is fragmented, but anyway, other devices, we need somehow some specific European regulation and understand which is what and how can we, where to put them. Is it on a pathway, it's on a road, it's on a bicycle lane? Because now we see on also not in Riga, but other cities that there are some devices, and is it moped, is it bicycle, is it what it is? And I think we need a new vision in Europe, what is what and where to put those devices, because there are coming new and new types of such vehicles, and yeah, for local governments, it's hard to decide where to put them. As I see this is as a problem.
They are developing faster than we can imagine the word for them, not even the rules. Anyone else?
On electric scooters, you said we have coped and understand what it is, but actually we do not comply with the suggestions of ETSC, what they suggest, like 20 kilometers per hour, bigger wheels and so on. And I guess it will be a very interesting thing to read when the new version will come out, but actually the published in February is worth to read, absolutely. So if one is interested in e-scooters, definitely go to the website and read. But when it comes to Latvia, actually in statistics-wise, the accidents have stabilized, at least the serious ones. We do not hear that from medical doctors. By some reason, they say that's still really bad. But when it comes to formal statistics, then it's stabilized in not increasing. It was starting to increase since 2021, and now it's already stabilized in not going up. There's no fatality this year, and we definitely hope there will not be. But we are still far to get to the European, and somehow we hope that there will be common understanding, or at least I hope, common understanding what micro-mobility device is, because we have very different definitions in different states of the devices.
Any more questions? Or some reflections on what we heard today? Does anyone want to add something? We are a little bit running out of time, so if there are no questions anymore, we can say thank you to all of our speakers, and also our Ministry of Transport and Rīgas Motormuzeja have prepared a few presents for our speakers. And actually, as a conclusion of this discussion, I would say that we have two news, one good and one bad. The good news is that we obviously know what to do, but maybe the bad news is that all of you sitting here in front of us will have a lot of work to do, to convince the people, to convince the politicians, and to do everything we saw today in the presentations. And one more reminder about the presentations, they will be online on ATSC website. So thank you, everyone. It's time for private discussions. If you were not so brave to ask a question in front of the audience, so we still have a coffee, we still have some snacks, and enjoy this beautiful afternoon here in Rīgas Motormuzeja. And also don't forget to see the cars in the museum. It's a wonderful exhibition. So thank you very much for participating, and enjoy this time. Thank you.